When did it start?
Hey, I was just about to say, I don't know these women. No, yeah, they're. Oh, yeah. There's a couple people that don't want to let it die, but I'm like, it's mostly, interesting because my part of me that all of a sudden apparently all these things that even though I said I had to go to this teacher test, he said that most of it they were escorted out of the stage. I understand. That's cute.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Well,
sir.
the hospital started with the guys from the lake because they just posted office. Yeah, you know what I think? What I think. And I
Like a dream consultation kind of thing?
I think that there's a word where it has to goes out to 95% of those. Some of them are
To do, yeah, when we don't really have a need to do.
yeah. Well, and it was interesting.
But, yeah, you're right.
It was very nice because when my kids
Yeah.
early and we get home at
How you doing? I'm good. What are you studying?
One teacher actually lives here. His father's in
I was
Well, I was on the board, so we got so
You're a grown person. You're a 40-year-old. You don't grab it.
Yes.
And I'm not all about 25%.
I think you just put it on because it's supposed to be one continual service.
Well, I guess I just got.
No bucket.
AOC, video, what did they go through? Oh, that was when I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I was like, oh, you get over yourself. You are like nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Small, but it's big.
yeah. Well, and then, what I thought the fair was going to do is move them. Right? Or just have them take the t-shirts down, which is what I wanted them to do. But so the fair directors came for the selecting meeting. That was like this happened on Saturday, and the next Wednesday was for the selecting meeting. And then all three of them came. They stood there and read it. Yes, you did.
You get a memorial book?
I was just about to grab one.
I said, well, there's still would have been. Right. Right, well, there were guys with the same kind of corner, and one of the carnival games was inflatable guns. You know, so
I get inside, my head is covered in the face of
This
God.
is gonna be like an old shoe.
yeah, that's,
My, when
I was stunned.
in my
There was,
category,
I had every single network. Fox News,
no matter where you went, like I remember,
like,
like when I went to work,
but then,
even in the summer,
but,
That's good, because the best thing is somewhere being really hot unless they have a lot of air conditioning. And in that period, they didn't.
and time is everything.
Did anybody not pick up a memorial book that would like one?
No, thank you.
Yes.
Dime a dozen?
Thank you so much. Oh, no, the WTC.
No.
The high school is in
Next Friday.
Honestly, it's
Saturday, we say.
who knows how
Her mom was out in California, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Near Las Vegas.
Right. Place I never want to go to. My youngest son was there for quite a while down there.
What I was like,
I must have missed that memo.
He did visit it because of the traffic.
oh, yeah.
We made the mistake of going to the Getty one day. We had a couple of hours, we figured it's only 30 miles.
Yeah.
We didn't realize it's 2 days. And we got there.
This is quite a good property near the bakery. My favorite bakery.
So I have 35 years.
Yeah.
And then I have 1-year-old. And then so, yeah, big 12-year gap.
I'm telling my wife we should be retiring there.
Oh, yeah?
She says, she tells me I might be old.
Yeah, me too. And I just got interviewed on my car. By
Next
yeah,
year.
I'm in the car.
Yes.
You want to go to
Everyone's ready to become.
I have one.
You know about some of
Mr. Robbins are here. Mr. Resnick.
And as of now, what?
And I
for that.
My daughter Sophie
How are you?
was a office for years.
Nobody was looking at that because they were worried about
He's great.
Oh, it's wonderful. I have. Well, maybe it's been a while. I said to Kevin, he said, I'll be right back. There's some of the experts in there.
I'm not mad. I'm like, what? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, whatever. It's okay. I was trying to sit
save on those and services.
specifics of it. I see. So this is all like adventure.
There's a nice spot right here next to me. Like, sit. You look so showy. The hair is gonna be sort of. Yeah, that's. How is it situated? Yes, I graduated last year.
Hey, I'm still worried about Tarzan. I think it's quite a few. And it seems to me that everybody who wants to go somewhere is like on a blade.
How many kids do you have? 31? This is not ideal. Or we had what, 10? Yeah. Cool. Does it make you look back? Yes.
In the corner, little boy.
You gotta keep it on the live stream.
On the what?
On the live stream.
You're gonna sit in the corner. Are you walking without a cane now?
Yeah.
So I figured you all the time. I'm so pleased about
Thank you
this
so
whole
much.
deal.
Thank you.
And I never heard her story.
Oh, you did?
Never knew her story.
That's actually how we met. It's because I was on the cane for years.
Well, I know
Many
that.
years. Many years.
Yeah.
I had my slip and fall in 2007. So we just missed each other in the hospital because she had her
Same
surgery.
hospital?
No, but she had her surgery in 2007. So we always joke we could have been bedmates. We never knew.
Well, there you go. My husband and I were born in the same hospital, Brooklyn Jewish, 2 years apart. So she was rabbi in Sharon Zafira at that time. How long had she been a rabbi?
She said 6 months.
And then she
Got hurt.
surgery, and then she went back. They took her back and held her place. You know, my cousin was the cancer there. Was she the cancer or she worked in the office? Trudy Wallace. She was a cancer at... Yeah, she does. She knows Trudy.
Do you go there?
No. I went to the Fifth Avenue Synagogue, which was Orthodox. And Trudy was a Temple Emmanuel in the chorus, and then she was the assistant chazan. And then I think she stopped doing that. She was a class singer with Barbara Streisand, Trudy and I were in the same high school chorus. And Trudy was the lead singer. Barbara and I were just also rings. Nice.
That's a story.
Yeah, that's a
So Ryan Tobin.
Hello, Samuel.
I'm back.
Good.
Brother, could
Let's open up our Machzorim to page 325 and read Rabbi Nachman of Bratzlav's words, which are so poignant. Kol ha'olam hulo gesher tzar ve'or. At this hour, Israel stands as one in prayer. All Jews on earth unite through memory and hope. A people unafraid, unvanquished, says to God, this people you have formed still lives to tell your praise. Still lives to share this teaching with our youth. Our ancient journey has not reached its end. The faith implanted at our people's birth is realized from age to age. Our sacred covenant. This people, few in number, ventured forth to carve a lonely path through wilderness, with dreams of vines and fig trees, justice in the gates, the land at peace. And still we make our way across the desert. This people you have formed still lives to walk before you. Exiled once to Babylon, we learned the unity of God. A second time, dispersed by Rome, we learned that humankind is one. Hear, O Israel, the call still sounds. Eternity is ever present in your midst, a heritage of sacred purpose in your heart. Your past tells a story for all peoples. Your future holds a promise still unfolding. At this hour, Israel stands as one in prayer. All Jews on earth unite through memory and hope. We look at one another and we know who we are. We look to our Creator and we know our strength. In pursuit of truth, this people lives to serve the Most High for the sake of life. Behind us, pain and glory. Before us, holy work. Timeless words command us. Toward eternity we gaze. On page 328, we come to our afternoon Torah reading, Kriyat Torah. And it is an honor to invite up to help open the ark, Robin Diller. And our gabbis are coming back up for the Hakafah, Laura and Kevin. And Henry Resnikoff is coming back up to help us gabbai the Torah service. Page 328. Once again, everyone please rise.
Ni
Torah for us. You can find the Torah reading for this afternoon in your Machzorim on page 338. And we are now hearing from the Holiness Code, Kiddushim, the words which I gestured to during Rosh Hashanah that we have right above our ark. You shall be holy because I, Adonai, am holy. And it goes on to tell us how to do that. What are suggestions? And so many of them are ethical, are moral, about how to treat each other, how to be a good person, how to make the world better. So Kiddushim, how to be holy. For our first Aliyah, it's an honor to invite up Erin Brennan, who had her bat mitzvah last year. It was so long ago. And now here you are. And for the Torah blessing, her Kvelling mother, Robin Brennan.
Sa'amot v'gevat nacham harishona.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu b'kol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
There's a penalty for being late. A fine.
Well done, Erin. Now, Erin's older sister, Kira, was part of last year's Makom class, our confirmation class. So it's an honor to invite her up to read next. And to bless this second Aliyah, it's an honor to invite up Michael and Joanne Price. And we have matching Tali Cho. It's the Woman of the Wall Tali, so it's a pretty nice one to both these ready. Amen. It's not easy, right? Oh my goodness. Well done, Brendan girls. And Yasher Koach. And now for our third Aliyah, we're going to jump forward to verse 35. And reading the Torah for us will be Alex Infeld, also a member of last year's Makom confirmation class. And his family will be blessing the Torah for his reading.
Yam tu Yaakov Yishmol had music Rachel Bani Bat Yisrael Razel Yosol Ben Yaakov Ben Yahash
Elu et Adonai HaTorah
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim V'natan banu et Torato Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah
Amen.
Amen. Lo ta'asu Avel b'mishpat b'midah b'mishkal u'v'amsura Moznei tzedek afnei tzedek efa tzedek v'hin tzedek yeh lachem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti echem me'eretz Mitzrayim Ushmartem ekol hukota ve'ekol mishpata v'asitem otam ani Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach to all the infelds. And Zach is just going to stay up here because for Hagbaha and the Neilah, the lifting and dressing of the Torah, it is a pleasure to invite Michael Rock up to be our Magvia, and Zachary will be our Golil, our Torah dresser. We are on page 340. At the very bottom, please rise.
Adonai Eloheinu
about one of the most evocative and creative stories in the Bible, and that is the book of Jonah. And this year, it is an honor to have the opportunity to learn from Shelley Sprague. Haftarah blessings as an introduction, and then at the end of Shelley's presentation, we'll do the Haftarah blessings after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar livim tovim v'ratzah v'tivreihem anemarim.
I have one of my former theater students in the audience today. So, she'll probably be the judge. We'll see how this goes. Jonah is a wonderful story, but I'm going to add a little something to it. You probably have heard that some of the climate scientists and environmentalists have been calling for anyone, anywhere, standing in front of any group, classrooms, universities, BEMAs, should be talking about only one subject, and that's climate change. So I'm going to do my part today. I think I can make some relevance with Jonah and climate change. And I'm going to give you a sort of a list or a group of suggested responses to my central question about Jonah. And the first one is, just stop using unnecessary plastic. Stop, that's a big idea. Unnecessary, it's for our consideration. But we've seen the pictures of the ocean, the plastic ocean, the beaches that no one can be on because they're just covered with piles of plastic. We know that we're now just sort of throwing things away, and we've even been told that some of those little tiny molecules of plastic are in our bodies now. So, one idea is that we just look around, figure out some ways that maybe we don't have to use so much. I was thinking about, what was my mother's kitchen like? And in fact, last week, my mother-in-law, 91-year-old mother-in-law, was visiting for Rosh Hashanah, and I said, Mom, I was standing near the garbage pail, and I said, okay, so I just put this plastic liner on top of this plastic bin. So what did you do, back in the old days? And her first response was, oh, we always had plastic bags. I said, no, mine, you didn't always have plastic bags. She said, oh, yeah. I think it was the brown paper bags from the grocery, right? Now, that's a problem too, but... And I said, okay, so you've got some food and it's in a bowl and you want to put it in the fridge and you don't have saran wrap. So what did you do? And she said, we just put a plate on top of it. Now I do remember that the old saran wrap commercials way back when were all about keeping your food fresh longer. Right? So the plate, I'm not sure did it, but it was something. I remember a lot of tin foil. I remember wax paper. that's a problem too, we understand the wax, but you know, they do have little bags now that aren't wax, but you can put sandwiches in them, they're really good. And we had a lot of rags. In fact, Stephen had 3 brothers, and they all sat around the dinner table at night, and they had one turtle. The turtle, though, was the one napkin, which was a rag. So it was, you know, pass the turtle up, pass the turtle up. All right, so oil, gas, energy consumption. We know it's going into the ozone, and we know it's changing the climate, so we can what? We can bundle our errands, not run around so much, use a little less gas, we can turn off the lights, we can turn down the heat, we can use our appliances during the off-peak hours, we could maybe next time we buy a car, we could think a little bit more about energy consumption. So a couple ideas. All right, so Jonah is doing what Jonah does one day, and this Bima isn't lending itself much to a stage, but anyway, so he hears a voice. I would think that God's voice would probably be pretty unmistakable. Jonah. Or maybe Jonah. But it's unmistakable, it's God's voice, and there it is. Yes, you. And he's got a job. I've got a job for you, Jonah. I want you to go to Nineveh. Nineveh? Nineveh. I want you to go to Nineveh. They've been sinning, and they need to repent. I'm a vengeful God, and I want you to get the message across. Nineveh, it's not even Jewish. I mean, I'm God. This is what I want you to do. So, what does Jonah do? He turns away. Now, I don't know how Jonah turns away from God. I mean, God and Jonah are standing, well, I'm not sure God is standing, but they're there together. How does Jonah, so is it, or Nineveh? I'm going to think about that, you know, and I'll get back to you on that. But it's a lot. And I think we do turn away. I'm not sure we, wake up one morning and say, I'm turning away from God today, although I do think there are times in our lives when we do purposely turn away from God. Whatever's happened. But I think more, we just distance ourselves. We're so wrapped up, we're stressed out, we're overwhelmed, we're sad, we're disappointed, we're mean, we've got our compulsions and our addictions and whatever it is, but it somehow makes that distance happen. I mean, it's a lot. I remember recently in Holy Scholars, one of our esteemed members, in response to some weighty thing that we were discussing, said, it's just so much. And the rabbi, being the rabbi, said, what's so much? Just this being Jewish. It's just so, it's all the time, it's every day, it's just so much. Which I think it is. I mean, after all, there are 613 mitzvot. Although one of our members said to me the other day, you could just do the evens this year. But So my central question is, how can we, when we've turned away from God, close that distance? Maybe without it being so much weight. And maybe it is just the little things that we can do every day that take care of the earth. And whatever. There's a lovely little book called Preparing Your Heart for the Holy Days. And it's by Carrie Olitsky and Rachel Sabbath. And I loved this thing that they wrote. God's presence is found in the rhythm of everyday living. That's the miracle. Just the rhythm of everyday living. So maybe it is just those little things that bring that presence just a little bit closer. All right, so Jonah runs, however he runs, and, la la la, I can't hear you, and decides to go to the sea. Because, I don't know, God won't find him at the sea, or whatever he's thinking. Speaking of the sea, there are the chemicals. We have been convinced that our homes are not clean enough, and our yards are not green enough, and whatever and ever without chemicals. It's just second nature now. We don't question what we're throwing down the drain into the groundwater, into the rivers, and into the streams, and into the oceans. And we know the pictures of the wildlife, and we know the damage that it's doing. So maybe there's an idea. Tomorrow you're and I've run out of all-purpose cleaner. So maybe today I just go find something else. I'll buy it in bulk so I don't have a lot of plastic bottles, but I'm just going to do this one little thing. Okay, so there's a big storm, and the sailors are praying to their gods, and Jonah goes down below, and some say he took a nap. I don't know how that's possible, but he isn't there, and they're praying to their gods, and nothing's working, which apparently is unusual, so they turn to him. And what's the deal? You're not praying. You're not repenting. What have you done? And Jonah confesses, okay, I'm running from God, we're in a situation, and I think probably I'm the cause. And he even volunteers to go overboard, thinking that God won't find him when he's dead. But the sailors, I'm wondering if maybe instead of it's all me, which it is for Jonah, it seems a lot of the time, maybe this was an act of kindness. Everybody doesn't have to die. I'm the one who's got the problem. And maybe for Jonah that was a moment of doing something for someone else. So acts of kindness. You pat somebody on the head. Maybe put your hand on somebody's shoulder. Maybe bake the cookies and take them over. Call someone. CBSRZ wise. Good sponsor an ONEG. You don't have to do all the baking and everything. You can write a check. Capital campaign. There are all those committees. You can write. So I've got a good postcard story. I like to write postcards every so often to people, just for the heck of it, out of the blue. Recently, during blueberry season, I decided I wanted to bake a blueberry pie. So I got out The Joy of Cooking, which has the best blueberry pie recipe that there is. And I have a habit of writing a note. When I do a recipe for the first time, I write the date and what I'm doing it for and what happened. And so the top of it said, July 1998, a beautiful summer night, with our family on the new picnic table. Lauren was here, and she said it was the best blueberry pie she ever ate. Well, Lauren's a niece. She's now 35 or so, and she's a psychiatrist in Seattle. And so I got out a postcard and I wrote, I've been thinking about you all day, because look what I found in my recipe book. And a few days later, I got an email from Lauren saying, Shelley, I still remember that blueberry pie. And it was the best blueberry pie I've ever had. But mostly, I remember that you cared for and supported my 14-year-old self, who I couldn't care for myself. Look who's right there. So sometimes it is in the little things. All right, so Jonah gets overboard. However he gets overboard, they throw him or he jumps or whatever. And Rashi has this really wonderful idea, which is that there were two big fish. And the first fish that swallows Jonah is a male fish. And so Jonah gets inside, and it's nice and roomy, and it's warm, and it's comfortable. He can't hear the voice of God. Okay, I did it. So there's no repentance. So that fish throws him up. And the second fish that swallows him is a female fish. And Jonah is so squished by all the eggs inside that female fish that he cries out and has to repent. Right? So sometimes we're just so squished. We're so uncomfortable. We're so lost. We're so sad. We're so lonely. We're so at the end of whatever it is, overwhelmed, that we turn to God. Sometimes that's the only way. All right, so Jonah gets thrown up onto the dry land, which is kind of interesting. And guess who's there? Hey, Jonah. Welcome back. How was your trip? All right, already. Okay. I'm here. I repent. So, as I was saying about Nineveh, I want you to go there. I want you to make sure they understand that they've sinned. All right. And Jonah, I have to give him credit, does this next step with a lot of conviction. He goes right into the center of the city and he repents and he tells everybody that they've got to change their ways and that he's got a vengeful God, and they do. I mean, it's one of the amazing parts of the story that the entire city, the king makes a proclamation and they fall down and they fast and they wear sackcloth. So speaking of sackcloth, we have to talk about clothing. It's been on the news a lot lately. The mountains and mountains and mountains of discarded clothing that we have in our landfills. I don't know if you've seen all this. It's pretty unbelievable. Because what? It's cheap. And it's accessible. We're not weaving and spinning and sewing and all that. So, how many pairs of jeans? How many pairs of jeans? Okay. Oh, so I like this coral blouse. This one is a little to the pink side, and this one's a little to the orange side. So, I'll just get them both. What was I thinking when I bought that coral blouse? I hate coral, And in fact, when I was thinking about Yom Kippur and white, I don't buy much white. I don't really like white that much. And so I was thinking, my little brain, I've been wearing this white stuff. I only wear it 2 days a year, but I've been wearing it probably. So I must have been thinking thinking, with all these people out here who are starving and thinking about their bagels and schmear, I think also looking at me and going, oh, that's good again? She's got that in it again? So I did not go out and buy some more white clothing for this occasion. So guys, this is pretty much my white wardrobe. Except a couple things I wore last night. You will probably be seeing this again next year. All right, so clothing. Jonah goes back to God. He's going to Nineveh. And he says, okay, done. And God's like, great. Great. Okay, go do your revengeful thing. Actually, they repented. I'm done. And this is another really interesting turn. Because Jonah's, I went there, I did what you asked, I went into the center of the city, I made a fool of myself, yelling and carrying on, and you're not going to be the vengeful God I said was coming? What about all the Jews that are sinning? I thought we were making an example of this. God's like, no, I'm God. So how many times do we say to ourselves, I've lived a good life, I've taken care of my family, I've had some transgressions, but for the most part, and you, how can there be a God when I'm faced with this loss, or this illness, or this sadness, or the floods, and the hurricanes, and the famines, and the shootings, and the endlessness of our expectations for God and what God should be doing, rather than look who's standing here beside me when I have to go through this thing that I have to go through. So, Jonah really turns away this time. I mean, he's done. And he goes away and he sits in the sun and God, brings a tree and a gourd and a worm and all that. But Jonah ends with not really an ending. He's just sitting there. And we don't know what is going to happen to Jonah and God. Sort of like how our lives go. It's not really a clear answer. So all this, my little list of things for you to do. There's one other thing. There's a lot of research on, and that is a simple thing that you can do. And that is to just stand still. In a beautiful sky, in a sunny moon, on a beach, in a forest. Just stand still and be quiet. Because often that's where the presence of God is. So I'm going to end with a poem by Elizabeth Barrett Browning that actually I only learned to sing. So I'm going to sing it for you. The little cares that fretted me, I lost them yesterday. Among the fields above the sea, among the winds at play, among the lowing of the birds, the rustling of the leaves, among the singing of the birds, the humming of the bees, the foolish fears among the clover-scented grass, among the new mown hay, among the husking of the corn, where drowsy poppies nod, where ill thoughts die and good are born, out in the fields with God.
We'll join together now in the blessing after the Haftarah reading, which is back in your Machzor on page 351. Eloheinu melech haolam, sor kol ha'olamim, tzaddik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, ha'medaber v'mekayem, shekol devarav v'emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'me'im v'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו בנפילה ובצלילה וכפרה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל. אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ולברכך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מלך סולח לעוונותינו ולעוונות עמו בית ישראל, ומעביר לאשמותינו בכל שנה ושנה, מלך על כל הארץ מקדש ישראל ביום הכיפורים. Amen. Page 352 for the return of the Torah to the Ark, and it's a pleasure to invite up Bob Zimmel and family to help open the Ark for us.
Vish I've been listening to you sing, and we've been in regular Nusak mode, which is a mode or style, and we have flipped into high holiday mode, and you guys have been there every step of the way. So my apologies, we're going to start this again, and we will be back in high holiday mode in just one moment. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Arel Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, Elyon, Gonel, Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Gonel Avon, V'Zofer Chaser Kol Imahot, U'Meiri Ge'olam Livnei B'neihem, Le'man Shalom Ve'Ahava. Zachreinu l'chaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chotveinu b'sefer ha'chaim, le'mancha Elohim chayim, melech Hoser Mashiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah, atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Akot Avram le'Yoshia, Morid atam, Mechayeh Chaim v'chesed, Mechayeh hakol b'rachamim ramim, Shomer noflim rofeh holim, Umatir asurim, Umechayeh emunato, Lishenei afar, Mikan mochav gevurot, Umidol elah, Melech nehitu nechayeh, Umasbiach Yeshua, mi chamocha, el harachamim, zocher yitzurah, lechaim verachamim, v'nehem atzal v'not hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Page 368. Nikadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, V'shem shemati shemot Yisrael Adon, Kakatun hayan
We turn to page 372, and it's a pleasure to invite up Ed and Linda Finn to lead us in the next group of readings.
And so, in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence, let us be witnesses of wonder. Receiving all nature as a prayer come alive, we bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with fullness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all encompassing your transcendent name.
And so, in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of vision, brightest joy, a world where evil has no voice. The rule of benevolence fades like wisps of smoke. The people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance, flaunting wit.
You are holy, your name is God. There is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice. The God of holiness made holy through righteousness.
We now continue praying silently through page 394.
So
399, we continue with the Hoda'ah, blessing of gratitude, which will be led by Rita Frank.
Hoda'ah, the blessing of gratitude. Udi anachnu lach. For miracles and wonders are with us always, and goodness is woven through our lives. Our sages teach us that miracles are astounding acts. They shake us to the core. And wonders, these, they say, are miracles of which we are unaware. Well hidden in the laws of nature, great wonders reside. The rhythm of our breathing, the rise and fall of tides, the wing beats of a hummingbird, the choreography of bees, the cycle of the heavens, the seasons of the sky, and sunlight on leaves transmuted into energy. How wondrously fixed and predictable migration of birds and circulation of blood. How utterly extraordinary is the ordinary. But goodness, is it with us always? Can we feel it even now? Consider this. The eye is narrow in its gaze. For at this very moment, some lives are bathed in miracle. A newborn child in the arms of parents who were past the point of hope. The happiness of improbable love after many years long. Recovery from surgery, the easing of grief, food for the hungry, rain after drought, the first light of peace in the war-darkened land. May I look up from my dark places and glad somewhere, even now, wondrous goodness blossoms forth.
Page 406.
So on page 406, we have Sing Shalom, and we have many melodies. And embedded in this Sing Shalom is actually this piece, this section, the Sefer HaChaim, where we are asking that we all of us here and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life and goodness, blessing, prosperity, and
Israel.
page 412 for our slichot, with the duty section, our forgiveness and confession. As parents show tenderness to their children, may you show mercy to those who worship you. Like the heavens that tower above the earth, your love is powerful for those who revere you. Liberation is a gift from God, a blessing upon your people. You are the God of all we can perceive, our haven, the God of Yaakov. And you are the God of all that is beyond our perception. The one who has faith in you is fortunate. Sovereign God, show us the way to freedom. Answer us on this day of our calling out to you. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love. And God responded, I forgive as you have asked. And now for page 416 for Tavo Lefanecha. It's an honor to invite up members of the Peck family to help us open the ark. Please rise. Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, tavod lefanecha tefilatenu, va'al titalam mitachinatenu. Anachnu azei fanim ukshei oref, lomar lefanecha, Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, tzadikim anachnu, v'lo chatanu, aval anachnu chatanu. We read together in the English, our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Please be seated. Now once again, we place our fists over our hearts and confess to this alphabet of transgressions. Ay, 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 ay,
Saranu, Kishinu Ore, Kishinu Ore, ay, 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 ay,
Page 422, and it's a pleasure to invite up Meg Gister and Lauren Gister to lead us in these readings.
Failures of integrity. We wrong you when we wrong ourselves. For our failures of integrity, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. For passing judgment without knowledge of the facts, and for distorting facts to suit our purposes. For succumbing in silence to social pressure, and for acquiescing in beliefs we find offensive. For using others' bad behavior to excuse our own, and for blaming others for our mistakes and poor decisions. For pretending to emotions we do not feel, and for appearing to be other than what we are. For condemning in our children the faults we tolerate in ourselves, and for tolerating in ourselves the faults we condemn in our parents.
Failures of justice. We dishonor you when we dishonor our society. For our failures of justice, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. For being indifferent to deprivation and hunger, while accepting a culture of self-indulgence and greed. For abuse of power in boardrooms, courtrooms, and classrooms. And for accepting the neglect of children and elders, the ill and the weak. For permitting social inequalities to prevail, and for lacking the vision to transcend our selfishness. For glorifying violence and turning hastily to war, and for allowing history to repeat itself. For behaviors that risk the future of our planet, and for wreaking havoc on our only true inheritance, God's creation.
Failures of love. We sin against you when we hurt one another. For our failures of love, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. For exploiting another for our own pleasure, and for the wounds we cause through betrayal and deception. For withholding affection from those we claim to love, and for using love to control our spouses and partners, our children and parents. For abandoning friends and siblings whose love has sustained us, and for neglecting those who love us when they need us most. For harboring in our relationships mistrust, boredom, and disloyalty, and for rejecting our partner's efforts at repair and renewal. For possessiveness, jealousy, and avarice, and for lashing out in anger at those who are closest to us.
Who among us is blameless? Who shall say, I have not erred, I have not wronged or sinned? We abuse, we brutalize, we covet, we deceive, we enslave, we feud, we gossip, we humiliate, we injure, we judge unfairly, we kill, we lie, we manipulate, we neglect, we ostracize, we plagiarize, we quarrel, we rage, we shame, we turn away, we undermine, we vilify, we waste, we exploit the earth, we yearn too much for yesterday,
and too easily forget Zion. Our sins are an alphabet of woe. Help us, Holy One, to follow your ways of integrity, justice, and love. Teach us to seek forgiveness with humility and an open heart.
Thank you to the Gister sisters. You probably heard that whole lives once or twice. I'm so sorry. We will now be transitioning to our Yizkor memorial service. There are books of remembrance which Laura has available, and if you'd like one, and Henry has towards the back. So if you haven't picked one up yet, you can just raise your hand. They'll be passed out, and we'll be transitioning to this service in just a few minutes. We're going to turn to page 549. And I'm sorry for the interruption, but if anyone has the card that has a license plate 373 LDL.
Yes.
Yes. It has its lights on and is running. It's a blue Lexus. Yes. Page 549. The death of a loved one is the most profound of all sorrows. The grief that comes with such a loss is intense and multifaceted, affecting our emotions, our bodies, and our lives. Grief is preoccupying and depleting. Emotionally, grief is a mixture of raw feelings such as sorrow, anguish, anger, regret, longing, fear, and deprivation. Grief may be experienced physically as exhaustion, emptiness, tension, sleeplessness, or loss of appetite. Grief invades our daily lives in many sudden gaps and changes, like that empty place at the dinner table, or the sudden loss of affection and companionship, as well as in many new apprehensions, adjustments, and uncertainties. The loss of a loved one throws every aspect of our lives out of balance. The closer we were to the person who died, the more havoc the loss creates. Love does not die quickly. Hence, to grieve is also to celebrate the death of the union. Tears are then the jewels of remembrance, sad but glistening with the beauty of the past. So grief in its bitterness marks the end, but it is also praise to the one who is gone. Page 559. In my darkness, be a light to me. In my loneliness, help me to find a soul akin to my own. Give me strength to live with courage, and give me courage to draw blessing from life, even in the midst of suffering, to hold fast against the storm, and to smile at a loved one's glance. They said in the name of Rabbi Meir, with clenched fists an infant enters the world, as if to say, the whole world is mine to acquire. With hands wide open, we leave the world, as if to say, I have acquired nothing in this world. For so it is said, naked came I from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. Page 561. The echo of your promise based on Psalm 77. When I cry, my voice trembles with fear. When I call out, it cracks with anger. How can I greet the dawn with song when darkness eclipses the rising sun? To whom shall I turn when the clouds of the present eclipse the rays of tomorrow? Turn me around to yesterday, that I may be consoled by its memories. Were not the seas split asunder? Did we not once walk together through the waters to the dry side? Did we not bless the bread that came forth from the heavens? Did your voice not reach my ears and direct my wanderings? The waters, the lightning, the thunder remind me of yesterday's triumphs. Let the past offer proof of tomorrow. Let it be my comforter and guarantor. I have been here before, known fright, and found your companionship. I enter the sanctuary again to await the echo of your promise.
Adonai,
564. A candle in a glass. When you died, it was time to light the first candle of the 8. The dark tidal shifts of the Jewish calendar of waters and the moon that grows like a belly and starves like a rabbit in winter have carried that holiday forward and back since then. I light only your candle at sunset as the red wax of the sun melts into the rumbled waters of the bay. The ancient words pass like cold water out of stone over my tongue as I say Kaddish. When I am silent and the twilight drifts in on skeins of unraveling woolly snow, blowing over the hill dark with pitch pines, I have a moment of missing that pierces my brain like sugar stabbing a cavity till the nerve lights its burning wire. Grandmother Hannah comes to me at Pesach, and when I'm lighting the Sabbath candles, the sweet wine in the cup has her breath. The challah is braided like her long, long hair. She smiles vaguely, nods, is gone like a sailor passing. You come oftener. When I am putting up pears or tomatoes, baking apple cake, you are in my throat laughing or in my eyes. When someone dies, it is the unspoken words that spoil in the mind and ferment to wine and vinegar. I obey you still, going out in the saw-toothed wind to feed the birds you protected. When I lie in the arms of my love, I know how you climbed like a pea vine twining, lush, grasping for the sun toward love, and always you were pinched back, denied. It's a little low light the Yortzeit candle makes. You couldn't read by it or even warm your hands. So the dead are with us only as the scent of fresh coffee, of cinnamon, of pansies excites the nose and then fades, with us as the small candle burns in its glass. We lose, and we go on losing as long as we live. A little winter, no spring can melt. Page 567. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר כאשר הם עצמם אינם עוד תוכן. אורות אלה המבהיקים בחשכת הלילה הם שמראים לאדם את הדרך. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. We continue silently and privately now from page 570 through page 576. We continue on 577. I find it hard to believe that all we are simply vanishes. I don't think we go to a physical place. After all, the essence, the soul, is not physical. As the Israeli scholar Adin Steinsaltz once remarked, to ask where the soul goes is a nonsense question. The soul is not physical. Where does a dream go once it has been dreamt? Where does love go when it disappears? We cannot conceive of what life might be like if it is not material like this life. In this life, we are tied to the tangible, except our deepest experiences tend to be things that are not really physical, like love, like memory. We cannot imagine what happens after death, but the poverty of our imagination does not prove that the world is not more creative than we know. It is lovely to think that the loss of this world is a ticket price to the inheritance of the next. Maybe we step through this world as if through a corridor. A beautiful comment by Bronson Alcott, friend of Emerson and father of Louisa May Alcott, ties together the themes of failing memory and the world to come. As he grew older, Emerson started to lose his memory. He tried to get around it. Once, forgetting the term umbrella, he called it the thing that strangers take away. But it troubled him. He was consoled by Alcott, who made reference to the Platonic legend that human beings know all about this world but lose that knowledge the moment we are born. Likewise, he said that as we get older, we start to lose knowledge of this world in the form of failing memory to prepare us for the next one. Each time we cannot remember something about this world, it is not a failing, but a letting go. Page 581. I do have an ongoing relationship with the dead, and I do think about the afterlife, my afterlife, that is, after someone I know dies. What happens to me afterwards in my life? Some deaths come too soon, some deaths are unexpected. Some deaths we think we are prepared for, but really we are rarely ready. We don't usually know when a conversation is the last conversation, with so much that may be left unsaid, unresolved. So in this afterlife of mine, I am still in relationship with people who have died. I miss them. I talk to them in my mind. I ask them questions about our relationship that I wasn't ready to ask them when they were still alive. I show off my accomplishments and wish they could witness them. And yes, I still have some of the same old arguments, still trying to prove my point of view. What helps me go forward? How do I resolve these lingering feelings? Here is what makes the Yom Kippur Yizkor so special. This forgiveness prayer, devoted exclusively to those no longer with us, that comes late in the afternoon when we're tired, hungry, vulnerable, and open. During this Yizkor, I am given the opportunity to forgive myself for cutting off that last phone conversation with my father. I was always in a hurry. He always wanted to chat longer, and then he died. It's during this Yizkor that I have the opportunity to forgive my mother for her harsh ways, to let go of being angry, for my sake in this world, if not for her sake in the world to come. For this Yizkor to feel honest and meaningful, I don't want to sentimentalize those relationships. I don't just want to remember the ideals and the gifts they may or may not have passed down. I want to remember those relationships exactly as they were, and then be able to forgive myself and them for our failings, for what we never got a chance to repair or finish. Page 585.
Will we
page 590. Rabbi Judah taught, there are 10 strong things. Iron is strong, but fire melts it. Fire is strong, but water quenches it. Water is strong, but the clouds evaporate it. Clouds are strong, but wind drives them away. Wind is strong, but the human body bears it. Human beings are strong, but fear casts them down. Fear is strong, but wine allays it. Wine is strong, but sleep overcomes it. Sleep is strong, but death is stronger. And loving kindness survives death. Page 593. The 23rd Psalm. No other psalm, perhaps no other prayer, the Kaddish itself is as inseparable from our experience of grief and mourning as the 23rd. One phrase, so simple and direct, yet emotionally profound, has made it so. Ki ata imadi, for you are with me. Or in the language of an earlier age, for thou art with me. To arrive at those words after passing through the valley of the shadow of death is to know, in the words of Rabbi Joshua Loth Liebman, that God contains and supports us as a mighty ocean contains and supports the infinitesimal drops of every wave. To arrive at those words is to feel at home in the cosmos, held and comforted, cared for and serene. The 23rd Psalm does not make promises that cannot be kept. The end of all evil, the eradication of suffering and pain, sunshine instead of shadows. It makes but one promise, only this. You are not alone.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forevermore, forevermore.
I wanted to share with you a brief piece from Chicken Soup for the Grieving Soul. And this is a piece entitled, I Wish You Enough, by a man named Bob Perks. Recently, I overheard a father and daughter in their last moments together. They had announced her departure, and standing near the security gate, they hugged. And he said, I love you. I wish you enough. She in turn said, Daddy, our life together has been more than enough. Your love is all I ever needed. I wish you enough too, Daddy. They kissed and she left. He walked over toward the window where I was seated. Standing there, I could see he wanted and needed to cry. I tried not to intrude on his privacy, but he welcomed me in by asking, "Did you ever say goodbye to someone knowing it would be forever?" "Yes, I have," I replied. Saying that brought back memories I had of expressing my love and appreciation for all my dad had done for me. Recognizing that his days were limited, I took the time to tell him face to face how much he meant to me. So I knew what this man was experiencing. "Forgive me for asking, but why is this a forever goodbye?" I asked. "I am old, and she lives much too far away. I have challenges ahead, and the reality is the next trip back will be for my funeral," he said. "When you were saying goodbye, I heard you say, 'I wish you enough.' May I ask you what that means?" He began to smile. "That's a wish that's been handed down from other generations. My parents used to say it to everyone." He paused for a moment and, looking up as if he were trying to remember it in detail, he smiled even more. "When we said, 'I wish you enough,' we were wanting the other person to have a life filled with just enough good things to sustain them," he continued. And then turning toward me, he recited the following: "I wish you enough sun to keep your attitude bright. I wish you enough rain to appreciate the sun more. I wish you enough happiness to keep your spirit alive. I wish you enough pain so that the smallest joys in life appear much bigger. I wish you enough gain to satisfy your wanting. I wish you enough loss to appreciate all you possess. I wish you enough hellos to get you through the final goodbye." He then began to sob and walked away. I wish you enough. Now on the bottom of page 597 for the recitation of names. Our loved ones live in our broken hearts, and at times that brings some measure of healing. Their acts of kindness and generosity are the inheritance they leave behind. We feel their absence, but the beauty of their lives abides among us. As it is said, the name of one who has died shall not disappear. Our loved ones' names and their memories will endure among us. And these are the names on our lips and in our hearts. I'll be sharing the names of those lost from last Yom Kippur through today. If you hear the name of a family member or friend, and if you're comfortable doing so, you're invited to rise when you hear his or her name. And then we will all rise to join you for further silent prayer and remembering. Over the last year, we mark the passing of Howard Kleinman, Tony Regano, those lives lost at Tree of Life Synagogue, Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Nallinger, Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, and Irving Younger. Donald Grueller, Sidney Retzky, Nora Rose Hines, Jamie Radden, Sam Rosenblum, Sigmund Balka, Harvey Hoberman, Dr. Francis J. Mose, and the one life lost at the shooting at the Chabad of Poway, Lori Kay, Bert Bruskin, Natalie Berman, David Frank, Patrick Neilah, and Malcolm Feinstein. Zichronam livracha. Who else marked a passing in the last year and would like to share a name out loud?
Jim Marrow, as usual.
Good churches.
Susan Fenster. Tina Ayundas. Ivor Benjamin. Anna Loya. Michelle Friel.
Russell Helm.
Bob Sunday.
Alan Schultz.
And together with the memories of all of our loved ones who will forever remain with us, we now all rise for a few moments of silent prayer. Merciful God, God Most High, let there be perfect rest for the souls of our loved ones who have gone into eternity. May they find shelter in your presence among the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold them close to you forever. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May they find a home in you, and may they rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. Page 606, for the mourners, Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'almad v'rach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei v'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba V'Barak Le'olam Modei Almaya Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitba'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Yitaleh V'Yitalal Shemei D'Kudisha B'Richu Le'ela U'Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechemata Da'amiran V'Alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba V'Yishemaya L'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Amen. Oseh shalom Yirmav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael always be a precious blessing to those who knew and loved them. Amen. This concludes the Yizkor part of the afternoon. We'll be now taking about a 5-minute transition to our Neilah closing service. And so feel free to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back in here for our final service.
My wife came with Lori did. Thank you. My daughter is going to are you? She was here for afternoon service. Yeah, no, all grandmas did fast. No, I mean, her, my son. She doesn't connect, so technically.
Yeah.
They get really sad and telling us finally some really do not want to believe it. You know, it's the same thing.
I didn't do that I'm not, so are any of the girls? Yeah, I saw Katie last night. Okay. The mid-week is so hard. I mean, it's all such limited time. Right. But this is great. Yeah. Sort of weird. It felt like I was like last night. Weird about Yizkor. It was like sad. I'd be like, oh, we sat down. But here's this window. It was like, Saturday and then any other day, or the fact that I couldn't remember my grandmother. Like trying to figure out the memorial log for my dad. Liz was writing it out from when he like the email, and then I was like, well, but then I was like, no, well, like Ben. I haven't yet, and then I couldn't remember my grandmother's name. Who I might tell you was alive my whole life, and Benjamin is named after. And I texted my siblings this morning and was like, what is Daddy's mom's name? And they were all like, what are you asking? And I was like, that I obviously didn't read, but I needed my dad's mom, but I was like, and then I was like, how come I don't know those things? I don't know.
Please find your seats, everyone. We'll be starting again. This last section of our service. This last section of our service is a cappella, and I do have to thank just once more Meg Pfister for sharing so many of her talents with us. Thank you. It really adds so much to our worship. For Neilah, it is traditional, and you may recall this from the last few years, to open up our ark and to leave it open for the duration of Neilah. Two things happen because of that. Number one, we will be standing for all of Neilah. I understand it's a very long time. If you need to sit at any point, please feel free. The other wonderful opportunity that it affords us is you are all invited, and I do hope you will take advantage of the opportunity to come up on the bema for private, individual time in front of the open ark. You don't have to feel embarrassed or shy. Everyone is welcome to, and hopefully you will feel comfortable to come up and take as much time as you need. We have plenty of room up here, and have time in front of the ark with that extra bit of tangible closeness to God, as Shelley was showing us. That image is going to stay with me of how can we get closer to God. Here's an opportunity to come a little closer to God and God's wisdom and words. So we will be opening in just a second. We're going to be on page 612. And also remember at the very end of Neilah to have your shofarot ready. Children will be invited up towards the end. We have some plastic ones, some extra ones up here, and all children will be invited up, but that's in just a little bit. Please rise. The long day is over and the gates are closing. Slowly day fades into dusk. Soon the earth will darken. Our bodies weak and weary, our inner strength undiminished. This day has been a gift, uncluttered time, free from hurry and routine, appointments or assignments, a time to face our sins and imperfections, our dreams and yearnings for the life we want to live, a time to leave the clamor of the world and attend to the voice within. Long ago, the temple gates were locked at dusk. So too at this hour, the gates of Yom Kippur begin to close. Have we done all that needed to be done? Said everything that needed to be said? The gates of God's compassion never close, but soon enough our lives close in on us. And now, in the silence of the soul, now before the holy day comes to an end, release the unshed tears, the deepest prayers locked in our hearts. Page 613, and you may start coming up if you're ready. Page 618. When I consider the heavens, the work of your hands, when I gaze at the sea of space and its endless array of stars, when I set out to understand this marvel and its maker, your greatness overwhelms me. Your majesty makes me tremble with awe. What are we that you have given us eyes to glimpse your truth? What am I that you have given me a mind to fathom hints of your purpose? We are witnesses to nature's repeated refrains, forests dancing with life, mountains rising like prayers, oceans bursting forth with hymns. In the midst of this beauty, you have placed within humanity two worlds, mortal flesh and immortal soul, finite matter and infinite spirit. You have taught us to live at peace with the earth and with all living beings, and to care for the works of your hands. But something deep within us darkens the soul. In nature, spring follows winter, but human behavior is far less certain. Called to a life of righteousness, we rebel, possessed by arrogance and unrestrained ambition. Again and again, we speak of the struggle between good and evil, love and hate, forgetting that the power to choose is the greatness and glory of our humanity. In our forgetfulness, life loses its beauty, and we hear a voice of judgment. Where are you? How you have fallen. In this hour of Neilah, as day fades into dusk, we hear another voice. It says, Ata noten yad lefushim, v'mincha fishuta lekabel shavim. You hold out your hand to those who do wrong. Your right hand opens wide to receive those who return. The gates of your forgiveness are open wide.
Yizkor, ויש לדעת שני רבה אמן ואמר תפרח יהותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכם וביומכם ובחיי כל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמם מבורך מעולם ולעולמי עולם יזכרה וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתעלה שמי דקדושה בריחו Neilah, Neilah, min kol bechata, meshirata, tush bechata, v'nefemata, da'amiran v'yama, ve'yimeru,
As we now come to the tefillah on page 622, our final tefillah prayer of the 10 days of repentance, I will remind you of a couple of changes of words. First of all, in Zochreinu, during the Avot V'Imahot, instead of being asked to be written in the book of life, we are now asking to be signed. So the word will be Chot Meinu instead of Kot Veinu. And then, as I spoke about this morning, we will say the word Metim in the Gevurot prayer on page 626. We will talk about God reviving us, bringing us back, and giving us new life. So the tefillah begins on page 622.
Adonai sifatai tita ufiagi tehilatecha Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise Baruch atah Adonai
Page 628. Hear us this day. Forgive us, we pray, for the day begins to fade. Your holiness awakens deepest awe. Your praise shall be our song. Our sovereign God of pardon and forgiveness, let these words of sanctity ascend to you. We read together, open the gates of righteousness for us. Open the gates that we may enter and praise the eternal. Open the gates for us, for all Israel, and for people everywhere. The gates of acceptance and atonement, beauty and creativity. The gates of dignity, empathy, and faith. The gates of generosity and hope, insight and joy. The gates of knowledge and love, meaning and nobility. The gates of openness, patience, and the quest for peace. The gates of renewal, song, and tranquility. The gates of understanding and virtue, the gates of wisdom and wonder, exaltation, youth, and old age, the gates of Zion, reborn and rebuilt in our time. Open the gates, open them wide, show us the way to enter. וחותמנו בספר החיים לברכה ולקדושה, כי אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, ושעריך בקדושה ניכנס. Seal us for holiness and blessing in the book of life. For you are holy, and your name is holy, and we yearn to enter your gates in holiness. For you hold out your hand to those who do wrong. Your right hand opens wide to receive those who return. Page 640. Open a gate for us when the gates are being closed, for the day is about to fade. The day shall end, the sun shall set. Let us enter your gates. Holy One, we pray, please be patient. Please pardon and forgive. Please show compassion. Please lead us to atonement. And help us, please help us to conquer injustice and triumph over sin. 6:43. One after another, things are happening to me which at another time would light up in me all the lamplights of joy. And I'd walk then, lovely, careful, lest they be extinguished, carrying back and forth humble thanksgiving. But in this setting, they are summer's flashes, sparks, and when they vanish, the clouds are even darker. And in the stifling air, there is no expectation of rain. Heaven stands sealed, open for us a gate. Page 649. We read together in the English. May the prayers of those who struggle with prayer reach your presence. May the people who say, "Hear, O Israel," come to know you as the one who hears. Great giver, Israel's eternal hope, you are rich in forgiveness. Though you dwell on high, your compassion is present here and now. Shelter us in the shade of your presence. When you look into our hearts, be kind. Set us on the right path. Come to us, our God. Please be my strength. Hear the ache in our voices, the pain of our plea. Most high and hidden, we yearn to hear, I have forgiven. A broken people hungers for your care and protection. Answer us with righteousness. Inspire us with awe. Adonai, be our help. Give us strength. Page 652, our final vidui, our confession. We are insolent, but you are compassionate and gracious. We are stubborn and stiff-necked, but you are slow to anger. We persist in doing wrong, but you are the essence of mercy. Our days are a shadow passing by, but you are existence itself, your years never ending.
Eloheinu, Elohe Avotenu ve'imotenu, Tavo, Tavo lefanecha, tefilatenu. Tzadikim
one more Asham. Please join us.
Ready?
Ay, 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 ay,
We read together in the English translation. Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander. We devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey. We abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes. We are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill. We spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself? Every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. Page 659, we read reading number 2 together. We have aspired to reach higher. We have befriended those in need. We have created works of beauty. We have delighted in holy books. We have embraced our dear ones and held them close. We have fought for justice. We have given of ourselves. We have honored your mitzvot. We have immersed ourselves in prayer. We have joined hands to build community. We have kept our word with integrity. We have loved faithfully and well. We have moved toward the light. We have nourished and supported. We have opened ourselves to hope. We have pursued the good. We have quieted our anger. We have remembered those who came before. We have sought meaning in Torah. We have trusted and been trustworthy. We have uttered words of beauty. We have vigorously struggled to do right. We have wept over our shortcomings. We have exchanged blame for compassion. We have yearned to make life better. We have zestfully rejoiced. Page 662, our conclusion of the day. We read together in the English. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu, act for the sake of your boundless compassion. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of sustenance and livelihood. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of worthiness and merit. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of forgiveness and pardon. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, seal us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be open to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, we have no sovereign but you. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace when our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Aneinu Aneinu, V'yein banu masim, Aseh imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Aseh imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Ve'oshienu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Aneinu v'aneinu, V'yein banu masim.
Join me on page 668 for Kaddish Shalem, the full Kaddish. You'll notice a lot of it will be familiar, but there will be an extra paragraph thrown in, which is why it's called the full Kaddish, and it helps to complete our day. Please join with me. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'almad v'yirach v'yirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon, v'yom echon, v'chaye t'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah, v'varach le'olam v'lamei almaya, v'yitzbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitzbahar, v'yitzramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitzadar, v'yitzaleh, v'yitzalal, shemei kudusha b'richu, le'ela, mikol, birchata, v'shirata, v'shirata, v'nechemata, v'amiran, v'alma, v'imru, amen. Titkabal, zotahon, uvaton, d'chol Yisrael, kodam, avuron, di v'ishmaya, v'imru, amen. Yehei shlam rabba mi-shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Page 670. We stand as one before the gates of a new year, renewed by this day of atonement, made stronger by all who are with us and by those whose presence we feel within. As the long day fades into dusk, we join our voices in words of hope and dedication. Pitchu lanu sha'arei tzedek navovam nodeyah. Open for us the gates of righteousness, that we may enter and praise the eternal source of life.
Open for us the gates of sacred community, that we may enter and feel its healing power. Open for us the gates of truth and integrity, that we may enter and grow in faithfulness. Open for us the gates of devotion and principle, that we may enter and find enduring values and meaning. Open for us the gates of repentance and return, that we may enter and offer our best. Open for us the gates of forgiveness, that we may enter and offer our humanity. Open for us the gates of kindness and compassion, that we may enter and offer our love.
And now responsibly, as the Sabbath of Sabbaths ends, we say from the heart, living source, you are ours, we are yours. From beyond time and space, you hold out your hand to receive us. Living source, you are ours, we are yours. You are the sovereign of remembrance, the voice of holiness. Your presence lights the way. Living source, you are ours, we are yours. Shema Yisrael, hear the shofar, witness to history, thunder to our souls. Living source, you are ours, we are yours. Happy are those who love the sound of the shofar, its mystic chords of memory. Living source, you are ours, we are yours. Hear the shofar, hear its cry of freedom, its call of courage, cherish its promise of hope. So our Baalei Tekiah, our official shofar blowers who have been with us for the High Holy Days, Rita and Seth and Alex and Maya and Mac, will be spreading out around the room, so you'll get this in stereo. All children who have shofarot, I invite you up to the bima. Come on up. If you don't have one, we have one for you. We have plastic ones up here. So come on up. I know this child. Come here. Are there other kids who want to grab a... Hey, Lucy, go ahead and you can get one too. Oh, you brought yours. Good. And I'll remind you that we will be saying the Shema in Hebrew and English one time each. Then Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto 3 times each in Hebrew and then 3 times in English. And then Adonai Elohim 7 times in Hebrew, 7 times in English. And then we will be calling the shofar leading up to that final Tekiah Gedolah. After that, of course, we'll stick around for Havdalah and a wonderful break the fast. Oh, right. You want shofar?
Shema Yisrael, Adonai. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto L'Olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto L'Olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto L'Olam Va'ed.
Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Adonai hu Elohim, 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 Adonai hu Adonai,
wonderful multi-wicked candle, which happens to be so beautiful. The blessings are on page 674. This is what the lights are out for. Let's join together.
No. Yeah, you can write my next time.